31, 32, 33. Ready or not, here I come. Halloween at the Robertson household was a tradition that was never bypassed. Every year, Sonia and her 3 children, Nathan, Kate, and Scotty, would dress up in costume and enjoy fun and games while waiting for the trick-or-treating festivities to begin. The family lived in a large neighborhood, in a beautiful home with an inviting driveway and a magnificent backyard. Every year at 7:30, the entire neighborhood would head to the streets showing off their costumes in a spirited march around the town hunting for the best candy bars. "I wonder where they're hiding," Sonia exclaimed. She began her hunt to find the 3 youngsters, heading out of her living room towards Nate and Scotty's bedroom. As she passed by the countertop in her living room, she couldn't help but smile at the photo of her deceased husband. John had passed away 3 years ago on Halloween in a drunk driving accident. While on his way home from a night out with his friends, he had swerved off the road into a lake and drowned inside of his car. Since that day, Sonia had made sure to never let a Halloween go by where the family would fail to celebrate the remembrance of their beloved father and husband. She wandered into the kids' room. "Are you in here?" she yelled as she opened the closet door. She expected to see a young Scotty attempting to hold his breath in the hopes that his mom wouldn't catch him in his excellent hiding spot. To no avail, the kids had seemed to actually give more thought to their hiding spots. Sonia switched off the lights and turned to head towards her own bedroom and continue her search. As she turned her back, she heard a rustle come from underneath the bed. "There he is," she thought to herself. With the lights off, Sonia tiptoed back into the room in hopes of startling Scotty after making him believe he was safe. She creeped towards the bed, took a deep breath and got down to her knees and prepared to jump to the ground and give Scotty a quick scare. Sonia jumped forwards and nudged her head into the bed frame. "What the hell?" she said, rubbing her head where she had bumped the bed. "Fucking teenagers." She assumed the honking had just been the teens driving around the neighborhood, reminding everyone that the trick-or-treating was about to begin. She looked under the bed frustratingly, telling Scotty to come out. However, he wasn't there. Hands still rubbing her head, she exited the dark room and walked back into the hallway to continue her hunt. "The trick-or-treaters will be here soon. Where are these kids hiding?" Sonia thought to herself. It never took her more than a few minutes to find her beloved children. In the dimly lit hallway, she looked down on her hand to find her fingers coated in a thin layer of blood. "Crap," she thought. It seemed the bump against the frame did more damage than she initially thought. She walked over to the children's bathroom to wash her hands and make sure everything was okay. She opened the door, flipped on the lights, and looked towards the mirror. "What the hell is this?" Sonia yelled in a shocked tone. The mirror was covered in steam. Sonia began to get a bit worried. She still hadn't found her children yet, and the gloomy nature of Halloween began to provoke her anxiety more than she had hoped for. She turned on the water and washed the coating of blood from her hands. After some time of washing her hands, Sonia shut off the water and went to dry her hands. She chuckled a little as she was drying her hands. She couldn't believe she was considering yelling to the kids that she had given up. Her children had finally beaten her at the game of hide-and-seek, and she— Wait a second, what is that sound? The sound of running water croaked around her. She had already turned off the sink. What was that sound? She said once again, questioning her mind. She ran towards the kitchen to find the kitchen sink running. Confused, she shut off the water and yelled to the children, "Nathan, Kate, Scotty, playtime's over. It's time to come out." Chills rushed down Sonia's neck as a cool breeze rushed along her shoulders. At the end of the kitchen was the door leading to the backyard, but for some reason, the door was open. Sonia was certain she had closed that door. Her heart began to race, fearful that something horrible had occurred. She flickered on the backyard lights and stuck her head out. Sonia's chills intensified as she stepped into the backyard, screaming for her children. To her left by the bushes, she heard a twig snap. She flipped around. Her heart was racing and her eyes were flickering, feeling her legs shaking beneath her. Sonia was sure she had begun to lose her mind, and her imagination was playing tricks on her. She looked towards the bushes and thought she could see a pair of yellow eyes glaring at her. Paralyzed for just a moment, Sonia was unsure if the spirit of Halloween had simply just gotten into her head. Maybe her imagination was allowing her to really experience the true frights of the beautiful holiday. When coming from the center of her backyard, she heard a small splash coming from her family's pool. Slowly, she turned towards the pool. This night had thrown her for a loop. She was unsure of whether or not her senses were just toying with her. She was unsure if her paranoia and anxiety was getting the best of her, when suddenly she froze where she stood. She tried to scream, but she couldn't. She couldn't move. She couldn't think. She tried to run towards the pool. She tried to save them. She tried to react, but she couldn't. On this Halloween evening, Nathan, Kate, and Scotty had drowned in the pool. Their bodies lie limp in the water, motionless, not even a ripple flowing through the water. Sonia stood there, body frozen. Her mind had stopped. She was unable to process the image she was seeing in front of her. The image of her 3 children's bodies, with their souls drained into the darkness of the night. The children had fallen into the water and drowned during their game. They fell to the same fate as their father John, forced to suffocate on the water, filling their lungs, doing all they could to paddle out of the water. Sonia fell to her knees. She wanted to wake up. She wanted all of this to be a dream. This time, however, it wasn't. The Grim Reaper had taken the 3 children's souls, and this was the one nightmare that Sonia would never wake up from. Silence consumed the air. 7:30 had struck, and the Halloween festivities had begun.